Mikel Arteta at the moment thinks the world is against him and his team. And he's got to own it.
So this is my position straight after the game. I get Arteta for an interview. So Arsenal tell us, and okay, you know about this situation. Sometimes they say 3 questions. So 2 questions with Jurgen Klopp is 5 minutes talk. 3 questions with Arteta this night was 30 seconds. I tried to make my open questions, and I'm so with Craig. You have to own this, because I think every footballer will see that he kicks the ball away. I mean, and you can discuss this and that. What I don't like of this situation, I think, was Arteta and Arsenal building up a group that is so strong. They do whatever they need to win football games. I have no problem with that. You adjust your system to your situation, 10 against 11, whatever. What I don't like is this to be a victim all the time. So you go out and you're a victim. You're a victim. I mean, I'm not defending Manchester City on this. I could take Liverpool, Martin Ødegaard with his handball at Anfield and so on and so on. Kyle Walker had to go back to the referee, and then, well, if you do that all the time, you'll always find situations. And I don't think there are any referees who are against any team or for any teams in England. Not at all. And I think that the best thing you've said, Craig, for a long, long time, you have to own it. Because if you own it, you're starting on the new game. You're there. Okay, well, let's take it on. And what's interesting is that Gabriel and some of the players, they just say, let's get on with it. Let's get on with it. That's a part of the game. That I like. That is the attitude I like.
Nobody said to... I don't want to go over all the points, but Arsenal did score a goal, their first goal, from a free kick that was taken almost 10 yards from the wrong position. Now, we don't expect every free kick to be taken from the exact spot, but usually you have a sort of area, within a couple of yards. If the ball's there, the referee will let it go. 8 to 10 yards, that's a lot. So, we are forgetting here, or certainly Arsenal are, Arteta is, and their supporters who just think everybody's against them at the moment. Everybody. And maybe that mentality will work for them. Maybe it will. The proof will be in the pudding at the end of the season. But Jan's right. In my experience, you have 2 things. You have good referees, average referees, and poorer referees. And I think what we're seeing at the moment is, at times, we're seeing some poor decisions from referees. I, for one, don't think any professional referee turns up with preconceived ideas about how he's going to referee a match. This is his job. It's his job. To go there and be professional. They'll make mistakes. Guess what? They make mistakes 50 years ago. 40, 30, 20, 10. And they're still making them. Maybe making more. Maybe there's more cameras. Well, there is more cameras. You scrutinise more. But these decisions are honest decisions, whether you think they're against your team or not. And quite frankly, this early season crying from Arsenal, particularly the manager, is already becoming very tedious and taken away from some of their performances.
To that point, I think it's intentional. I think Arteta knows exactly what he's doing, and I use the reference last show is on that siege mentality about everybody's against us, and you use that almost as a kind of rallying point for your team. Now, again, and while Trossard was booked officially for kicking the ball away, and it kind of brought up the Declan Rice sending off against Brighton all over again, and Trossard's playing on the yellow and jumps into the back of David Silva. Now, for me, again, when you're Bernardo Silva, excuse me, when you're playing on the yellow, you have to play the game differently. That is just basic football. I don't care if we're talking this season or when Craig, Jan, and I played. You have to play the game differently. He jumps into the back of Bernardo Silva. That could have been a booking. That very easily, without the kicking the ball away, that for me was a booking. He then goes and kicks the ball away and gets a booking. And that's the one that officially goes down in the books. And all of a sudden, that's the talking point. As opposed to Trossard just not managing himself properly at that stage of the game. You're just taking the lead. Calm down, manage the game, get to the break. Let's figure things out. Those are just some of that for me is. That for me it was the most telling thing, but it's allowed Arsenal and to my point, Mikel Arteta, to again kind of regurgitate the Declan Rice sending off and this woe be us, everybody's against us, siege mentality that we're seeing.
But behind the scenes, Jan, do you think he's saying the same to his players, or is he telling them, you need to calm down a little bit? Some of these decisions recently from them in terms of their discipline have gone against them. Or is he saying the same thing to his players, do you think, what we're hearing in the media?
No, I'm not. I don't think he says exactly the same, but I'm with Shaka. I think this is intentional. I think this is a strategy. I think it's a wrong strategy, but I know from the players, they love their manager. And I can see that. I can see that he's thinking of things, building things, developing things, making a strategy in all kind of areas. We talked about the set pieces, how they do that. They always look dangerous. They use all the trick in the books, but that is allowed as long as the referee don't see anything. So I don't think he says exactly the same. But there will be a balance, because I think that if a manager, and I speak in general now, if you have this manager who always in the media will say is us against everybody's against us, sometimes it's hard to kind of go onto the pitch and not be influenced by that, because if you feel that every situation goes against you, you kind of lose that. I'm not saying to be neutral, just out there, because what Trossard is doing there, he's frustrated. I'm not sure why he's frustrated. They're 2-1 up. Is 10 seconds till they go into the halftime, and those are the moments when you have to calm down. So that I don't think with Arteta that he's doing his team any favor. But I'm sure that he is different in the dressing room. I think he's a great manager. I think he's a great leader. But what they're doing now, I don't like it, because I don't like. This is Arsenal Football Club. Own it. Go out there. Okay, what's against for us today? Next time is maybe for us, but we're there. We'll beat them anyway. And I'm saying it for the second time. I love the comments from Gabriel. He was that kind of, well, it was a battle. Okay, we'll see Erling when he comes to Emirates, then we get it back. And I love that.
But it was a battle, Jan, and you were there, and it felt like a throwback to one of those old Premier League rivalries that we just relished in the 90s. It does feel as though that's happening between these two sides now.
Yeah, this was City against Arsenal, but it was also Arsenal against Manchester United. This was Fabregas throwing a pizza in the head of Sir Alex Ferguson. This was the 90s all over again. And I loved it. I absolutely loved it. Every sport that I support, and I support most sports in the world, I love the rivalry. And I have no problem with that at all. If there is Erling against the centre half, if that is Arteta against Pep and all those kind of things, I love it. And it's entertaining. That's what we write about. That's what we talk about. And I have no problem with that. As long as and that should never go out of fashion. When the game is off, then it's off. And remember back in the days with Manchester United, with Patrick Vieira against Roy Keane, it was not like they were in the media like for weeks afterwards talking about the situation. They just waited for the next battle and they would be ready.
I've got no problem with aggression, but it has to be controlled. There is some early season paranoia about Arsenal. I think if I was Arteta, amongst all I want the aggression, but I'm saying to my players, don't give the officials an opportunity. Mm-hmm. Discipline. Discipline will kill us. They had disciplinary problems a couple of years ago. I think it was Gabriel and one or two others always seem to be getting themselves sent off. They remedied that. But this early season petty discipline issues, and it is on them, is already costing them some players. I've got a little bit of a bee in my bonnet about this. I'm going to ask Jan because you were there. What were they saying at the Emirates, Jan, about... And we've had no definitive camera angle, so I'm presuming there wasn't any. What were they saying about the early challenge from Havertz on Rodri? Because it looked potentially like he'd lifted his arm up into Rodri's face. Now, if he'd done that, it's a red card, whether it's 5 seconds or 50 minutes. There was no definitive angles. And this comes back to the disciplinary issue. If that was the case, that's just stupidity.
But I don't think that happened, Craig. I think that was... I think Rodri as well was standing there. I have never seen, I followed the whole career of Kai Havertz. I've never seen him done that. And it was a clash. You know, one of those stop the where he's running. And it was 1 against 1 and Rodri went down. I've never seen Kai Havertz do that. But as you were saying, there was always a tension all around the stadium. And at the Etihad, that is not always the case. But this time there was something in the air. And Kai Havertz did that, what he did on Rodri, that kind of set the tone for the whole game. And as you were saying, people thought, well, the Manchester City fans thought that he was after Rodri, that he had a mission. Let's get him out of the game.
It's great though, isn't it?
Yeah,
you know what I mean? It's not the purest, but it's like, you know, that
great for all us to watch.
Just the aggression.
As I said, and Jan kind of touched on it. I thought the battle between Gabriel and Erling Haaland.
That's where I want to go next.
Was absolutely sensational to watch. From the time early on in the game where Erling Haaland goes charging in and two of them collide in the air and both just get up, dust themselves off and carry on with it. That all the way to the very end of the game. And yes, Erling Haaland took a cheap shot at Gabriel in throwing the ball at him after the second goal. But then the exchange on the park. And I thought, again, that brought back memories of Vera Keane all over again. Nobody ever complained. And to that point, if I'm Pep Guardiola, I'm putting Erling Haaland to pick up Gabriel from the set pieces. Let two of them go at it. I thought that was shades of really meaningful battles. And while over the course of certainly the last year, I think many kind of suggest that Saliba is the best centre-back, if not in the Premier League, or if not in the world, certainly in the Premier League, I don't think he does a job on Erling Haaland like Gabriel does. I thought there was only one man for that job. Nobody else in the league would have done it as well as Gabriel did on the day. And it was great as a neutral to sit back and just witness.